DopLiving is live with Waterboxer. We've got episode 47, Kommissar. How you going over there, Waterboxer?
Everything is wonderful. The sun has finally broken early in the morning, so I've been able to get to the beach just about every day. And getting in the, in the mornings, I'm back to collecting rocks. You know, Adam knows what this is, and other listeners may. But if I don't run down to the beach, I like to park on a hill and walk down with my dogs and put like heavy rocks in a backpack and then walk up this hill. It's so I've been doing rock training and surfing every day, and then going out for about an hour bike ride every day.
So that's a triple.
So it's all, you know. So that's been good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, good. I haven't been getting triples in, but I know how that feels. So I know you're feeling pretty good. But
real triple, I got to get a swim in. I have yet to. The water is still just not warm enough. But yeah.
yeah. Well, we've had a couple of warm days, which has made everything kind of, well, most things a little bit easy. I think the cardio got a bit harder, but yeah, I've just been kind of, I guess, varying the routine a little bit, which is just starting to feel, you know, when you change things up, and I think at the start it gets a bit uncomfortable, which is what you're aiming for, and yeah, just starting to feel like the benefits from throwing a spanner in my own works.
Yeah, I know, work, but it gets over, and you know, and you get to do what you like. Yeah, man, kind of a busy week in the world. And why don't we keep all political things and violent things out and just talk sports today?
Yeah, because we got straight into it when we started talking before, and it was nice. It was nice just to get away from that stuff. So yeah, you wanted to talk about. Did you want to talk about the? I know we were talking about modern bodybuilding, but there's also all the stuff going on around UFC and doping at the moment.
Yeah, you know that, and let's just talk. Okay, Brock Lesnar has turned in a. Did he get complacent? Probably, you know.
Yeah.
And probably took something, you know. EPO's pretty short acting. Growth hormone's pretty short acting. Certain anabolics like testosterone propionate goes in and out of your system in 12 or 16 hours. There are other short-acting oral testosterones that people take. So we don't know what it is with him. But we do know what it is in John Jones. Two different substances. One called Clomid, the other called letrozole. All right. Now, people have called both of these anti-estrogen drugs. Now, letrozole is an anti-estrogen, okay, that inhibits estrogen in your body. When you take anabolic steroids, it suppresses your own natural testosterone, one thing, and your own body's balance of estrogen to testosterone, which everyone has, always tries to remain at the correct ratio, okay? Whether it's 98 to 2, I can't give you the number, but the ratio tries to be the same. Because of the elevated testosterone, to combat the raised estrogens, something like letrozole would be taken to basically kill the estrogens. Right?
So is that because when you're adding those hormones, your body will stop producing them because, as you're saying, your body's trying to keep a balance there.
Your body will
as
convert
well,
some of.
It'll produce more of the other side as well.
Correct. So if it's, let's just say a ratio is 3 to 1, no matter what. So that means your estrogen will go up. Let's just say your testosterone goes up 400%.
Yeah.
It's still going to be a 3-to-1 ratio. Therefore, your estrogen just went up. Yeah. Right? So this is designed, and it can be taken during a cycle or after a cycle to inhibit the estrogens or kill the estrogens, right? The other substance he took was called Clomid. Now, Clomid really isn't an anti-estrogen or an estrogen antagonist. It's taken to kick your own testosterone back up after you've done a cycle and your testosterone is suppressed. Right?
To start everything up again.
Yeah, so these two substances, the only application outside of fertility for a woman or cancer treatment for a woman with estrogen-based cancers, these just, I could argue maybe someone would take Clomid to bump their own natural testosterone up, right? Possibly. Yeah. But this is no accident, in my skeptical opinion, that these two drugs are there. Last week we speculated, hey, as we hang out with these lifters and these power guys and has some of this culture rubbed off on him, there is no other explanation I know for these to be in someone's system other than you did a cycle and you're coming off it. And that's about it, man.
Right. So do you think it's just a case of he's got his he's got his stuff wrong and got caught and it's going on out there a lot? Or is this something that's kind of an isolated case? And I'm not saying that it's obviously not the only one, but do you think this is a huge thing, or do you think this is just here and there?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
With these tests coming up, I mean, it's, for me, Brock sits aside because, as we know, he's from outside the sport, so I don't think he gives us any indication of what's going on in MMA itself. But with the John Jones results, do you think this is like a systemic issue through MMA, or do you think there's only few and far between that are doing similar types of cycles of things?
Yeah, let's just say, it's been going on since early in the sport. It just is. It goes on in every sport. USADA's just exposed more people. These people are going to have to get better drug coaches. Okay, if they're going to try to
say, there's got to be, like, they're going to get better at getting around it now, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, and I'm sure Olympians right now, do you think Olympians are all clean? No. Okay, no. But they're finding whatever isn't being tested for that could be effective. We've talked about this, there are thousands of these research chemicals that come from China that potentially could do all sorts of stuff, and there's no test for them. So there's ways around it, but also, too, when it's that much money involved, this is 1980s bodybuilding science, right? These drugs. Nothing exotic, if you know what I mean. I'm not impressed. This is... You were very crackly.
Yeah. I'm not sure what happened right there, but it looks like everything's starting to come back. So it was just a bleep in the system. So could you just go quickly over what you just said there?
Yes, I will vamp on. Just continue, and you'll get back on here. And you just let me know when your sound is better. I can hear you perfect. Yeah, you're pretty garbled on this end. Oh, I think you're back.
Right.
There we go. Okay. Those are my thoughts on that. Um, yeah, so what are your thoughts on Jones? Is it systemic? It has been. Has USADA changed it? Are there many natural athletes that don't need to do this? Yeah. But is there a culture of it? Yes. In my opinion, based on years and being around people and stuff, yeah, it is. But I'm not. We've talked about this in past episodes. We're almost at 50 episodes. We've talked about this again and again.
Yeah,
it's not a moral thing. It is part of sports, and it's part of elite sports when money's involved and reputation is involved.
Well, I just posted this week an Australian wrestler that I think the Australian Athletic Commission has recommended doesn't go to the Olympics because of doping as well. So it's everywhere.
Oh, you said the Olympics. Hey, if anyone's paying attention to international sport or the Olympics, they probably know that WADA just came out with a report on the Russians doping team that and the IOC has said the toughest sanctions on Russia ever. Now, what was going on? It's quite amazing. This came out first through a German reporter about a year ago. 2 Russian track athletes kind of defected and broke the story. And this guy was able to get some blood tests of all these people. He looked in further, and then there was a guy who's kind of the head of the Russian program who is in the United States now. These 2 sources basically are the information for this. But apparently the Russian government's modern KGB was involved in this too. What they did, it's been proven in many cases. Well, in some cases, what they would do is, let's say the athlete took a test at the Russian version of USADA, took their test, and it was hot. Their Russian agents would go into the facility dressed as plumbers or maintenance men, go in, open up that sealed container with a great amount of care and delicacy, put in a non-positive sample, and then close it up. Right? This was never detected. In other cases, the bathroom where they would pee for the drug test, there would be a little compartment hidden in the wall with clean urine. That's all they needed to do. So it was systemic, and apparently, according to the BBC and this report, Putin was really upset about the Russian team's performance in the 2010 Olympics. So this was all for Sochi and afterwards. So they've had better performances. And so the Russian team is probably going to, not just the track and field, which we reported earlier on DopLiving, but the maybe entire Russian Olympic team is now not going to be in the Olympics.
This is better than stuff for movies.
Dude, hey, we picked the right name for our show. You know what I mean? This has been, even though we didn't intend it, because dope is supposed to mean Dojo of Powerful Living, we end up reporting about drugs and sports every week.
Yeah.
Every week, which...
And we never talked about that. We never considered that would be what would happen.
But virtually every day there's a doping and sports story. At least there's 3 big ones a week. Heck, the UFC... Give the UFC credit, because I don't know of any soccer league in Europe or Australia that has the same standard of testing.
No, definitely not. And what about tennis as well? There's been a lot coming out about tennis.
That one tennis girl tested positive for that oxygen drug, which is supposed to be amazing.
Yeah.
If you take it, you've got wind. It's just like you did EPO. It's oral EPO. It's awesome. Now, they still don't have USADA tests. You know what I mean? They don't have this full, like they can knock on your door at any time. And I definitely know all of American professional sports, because of their player unions or player guilds, they have to negotiate things. So none of them, they don't have random tests. They don't have USADA style tests.
They've also got agreements on like certain things they don't get tested for, right?
Oh, like the NBA doesn't test for cannabis, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, of course, who cares? It's not going to, it may help your performance because you're relaxing afterwards, but it's not going to. Well, I would argue to make your game better. Your focus would probably be dialed up a little bit, but they don't test for that. But I think all the other major sports test for that and everything else. But they know when they're going to do it. Do you know what I mean? And do you think a corporation is going? I mean, the UFC has, but they're not like, let's just say, the biggest American basketball player. Okay, that generates billions of dollars for his team. They don't want that guy to test positive.
Of course
they
not.
Really don't. UFC can afford this a little bit. I do think, though, by going from just the testing they had before to this enormous leap, has definitely in the short term hurt them. I mean, it's hurt a lot of fights, and I think they did it to make it more sellable, to be quite honest.
Yeah, totally. I think so too. And what's it costing? It must be costing a lot of money to do all this testing.
It's hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hundreds of. I mean, they've got. USADA's got people that have to. First they're on call. The fighters know they have to report where they are at all times, which I wouldn't like to do to anybody. Yeah. And at any moment, they can knock on your door. And they'll wait. And then some strange guy watching you pee. I'm not. It's It's a
weird thing, isn't it?
It's I don't like that. Fuck that. You know what I mean? And really, what kind of guy is going to take a job staring at a guy's dick?
Yeah.
I don't care your sexual preference. This is not. It's got to be a shitty job.
Totally. It's like giving parking fines, I think.
What athlete's going to be happy to see the WADA or USADA rep at the door or at the gym? None of them. Not one. It's going to interrupt their training. And then, too, you're almost guilty until proven not guilty, but it's like the whole... It is what it is. It is what it is. This is the state of it. And I think it has just become obvious in our nearly year of doing this podcast, without trying to without trying to make it an issue. Drugs in sports have become an issue. They have been for a long time. We've talked about this. I think they've got it better, more sophisticated. And I just think if you're the sports consumer at home and you're still going to yell, "Oh, cheater," or "that guy's not moral," or I don't think you've ever been an athlete. That's all I could say. And in the climates these guys are in, these drugs or hormones are so much more common than people think. I think maybe some people work in offices where liquor is common, or maybe cocaine is common, or something like that, or in social groups. In athletic social groups, these kind of drugs are around. The only reason, if you're, either you're an athlete that said you're taking a moral stand, you'll never touch them, and I respect that. Or either you're that guy, or you've never really been around elite level athletes that are really competing hard in many sports. That's just my experience.
And if you listen to, like the Lance Armstrong interviews, basically, if you take that moral stand, a lot of times you don't exist in that sport.
Yeah.
So you're just not going to keep up.
Yeah, and especially in his era, I mean? Especially in his... I mean, they have cleaned it up, the testing is better, but what are the cutting-edge endurance athletes doing right now? Something I don't even know about, and I'll find out in 10 years. That's just... So it is part of the game. Another place where I have seen... Where drugs are known about, and they're obvious, but where I've actually seen the increase in drug use is in modern bodybuilding, but I'm going to define it differently. It's like maybe you can define a new era in the UFC as the USADA era and the pre-USADA era, and I think that's reasonable. Do you know what I mean? I think that's reasonable. But modern bodybuilding, I was watching some YouTube videos to prepare for the show, and I remember the era. I haven't paid attention to bodybuilding in 20 years. There was an era in bodybuilding, Arnold's era, Lee Haney's era. There were aesthetic physiques that actually had waists, and I caught some things from Phil Heath and Kai Green and Jay Cutler, some of the elite level modern bodybuilders, and what all I could tell you is they all have gigantic guts. That the drug use has gone to such an extreme that their guts have grown, and the modern bodybuilding physique is just grotesque.
Yeah, well, you put me onto some of those videos from Rich Piana, and he was very open about the side effects of his health growth hormone use, and some of that stuff was pretty full on to listen to. About, you know, his like one thing, his shoe size increased like I think 4 sizes or something like that over 10 years.
His bones growing. His bones grew, he said, right? I mean, his head grew, his hands grew.
What you're saying, he said his organs grew, and he started having a lot of kind of pressure on his stomach, like sticking out. So, I mean, just listening to him openly talk about that was enough for me.
Yeah, and you know, athletes don't do the same amount and kind of drugs as bodybuilders, although most MMA guys, and maybe because who they're getting coached from, using, you know, they're still using bodybuilding drugs. And I you know, if I was in Jones' position, I would get the same guy who did Lance Armstrong, that Italian doctor, I can't think of his name, but I would hire that guy.
Yeah.
For $500,000 a year, meet him privately somewhere in a hotel, get that guy, set you up. He knows how to beat tests if you really want to do it. Okay.
He's the guy who set up like the blood replacement things, and he was literally a pioneer in what they were doing, wasn't he?
That, and also in performance with drugs. That's the thing. He knew how to improve like the best output of like kilograms, like.
That's right.
You know, he was really big on that. So that, and the perfect combination of drugs, and drugs that would not be detected.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you hire the best if this is going to be the plan for? Michael Ferrari is his name.
That's it.
A brilliant guy, and he had some interesting theories, and he knew how to make drugs work. Look at Lance Armstrong's record, and when they got so good at when the test, USADA could finally test for all the things he was using, he went to the blood bags.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
And which work really good. So there is a way around anything. But I do think, honestly, when as much money as John Jones could make, to make this kind of critical error in his drugs is a rookie mistake. He got poor advice. I'd really say it's just poor advice from a dude at the gym. And I would say too, this guy doesn't need anything. You know what I mean?
I was going to say as well, when you consider all the hot water he's been in, it seems kind of crazy, you know. I just put it down to him just being a young guy with so much going on, but it's hard to believe, hard to understand that you could have the world at your feet like that, and, you know, compound mistakes just one on top of the other. It's I think I said it last week, it's sad to watch from the side. I think he's got issues.
And you know what? I respect him as an athlete. I like him. I mean, I don't buy the fake I'm a nice guy thing. I don't really care about that. You know what I mean? When I see him fight, I think he's just amazing to watch. You know, and I hope we're not going to say, remember him in his prime, because it's going to be down. Hey, remember John Jones' first 11 fights or something? Because there's probably for him, with this big interruption in his career, there's going to be, you know, his pre-USADA years plus maybe 2 fights, and what happens after this forced retirement. And hey, whatever excuse they come up with, there's not a supplement out there that I know of, and I've looked into it, and I've even asked a few people that would have these 2 drugs in it, particularly both of them.
Right.
You know, so
that says it all. Yeah.
It just, now, will they? If I was his attorney, I would go to every health food store, buy them out of everything they have, one of everything, spend the money to have everything tested in the lab to see if you can find one thing, because that's the only defense you can come up with. You've got to create it. You got to create it. But
and I'll tell you something else. I found out through the whole Brock news was about the WWE wellness policy. Not that I know anything about it, but I thought it was interesting that they've got a or some type of anti-drug policy.
Yeah, I bet you it's more for recreational drugs, I suspect, because those guys because recently a wrestler apparently violated their wellness program, and it was probably a hard drug. They didn't even report what it was. You just to look at the physiques of these guys. They don't want guys that have average physiques.
Yeah.
They don't. They're still. I'm sorry. You look at some of these physiques and not criticizing them. That's what's expected of them. That's their job.
Yeah, I mean that's why I brought it up. I think I saw someone say that they better be careful that this might bring the spotlight onto The Rock, that if Brock tests positive and so on, but I don't think they need to worry about a spotlight. It's pretty obvious.
It's obvious, and and if I was, if I wouldn't want to be in the public eye, but unless you're under oath, you know what I mean, in court or in a deposition, you don't have to tell the truth. Just remember that. Why? How did it ever serve Lance's career to tell the truth? It didn't, and he wasn't under oath. Now later, he in a deposition, he lied under oath and denied it, but that's a different thing. But if they're just saying it, it's like certain actors deny they're gay, even though we all know they're gay.
Yeah.
It's so they're going to have to. And I know the Rock has gone on record saying, "Oh no way, man, no way," and more than once. So that is what it is. And if they want it, I just think enlightening. As long as kids don't know and young men aren't trying to be that or think they can get that way, first without the genetics, let's be serious, but also think they, the fact that certain physiques do need drugs to get there. The human body just doesn't go there. But is sports getting cleaner? I don't know. The UFC definitely is. I think you're seeing flatter bodies, more injuries, more guys pulling out. And the product's sold. It's got a new owner now. So
I think it's still kind of scary times for competitors, because I mean Mark Hunt's been totally vocal about the positive test that's come back for Brock, but you got to think about what he had to face in terms of the size of Brock. He didn't tire for 15 minutes. That's a hell of a advantage to have in a fighting situation. And when you're looking at guys like that, I mean the devastating power, I can't kind of overstate how devastating they can be to each other. That's scary, that's dangerous. I think that's got to be taken seriously.
And you probably, you put EPO and you and I, we're probably going to ride a bike, endlessly. Do you know what I mean? You put that in a giant monster, so there's no tiring factor. That means he could go strong 5, 10, 15. And everyone else, in fights, people tire. You know what I mean? Things slow down.
Yeah.
And the paces slow down, the attacks slow down, just because the body gets tired, no matter how much work you put in. And with EPO, man, it's not going to happen. It just fatigue. I mean, Lance Armstrong, look at one of his wins, maybe his 6th win, going up a ridiculous mountain, not even breaking a sweat, talking on his phone. Just EPO.
Yeah.
Just EPO, because he wasn't stressed. If there's enough oxygen in your blood, you're not fighting for oxygen. It's just natural breath. So you have your hematocrit up super high, and that's what EPO does, and a couple other things do. It's wonderful, man. You know what I mean? As for athletic performance, anyone understand why someone wouldn't want to do that and not get tired? For me, that's kind of amazing. Would I mess with that? You know what? That you need to do your blood work. You need to do a lot of things for that. It's complex, and you could fuck up. And many people, especially in the early days of EPO, many cyclists just died in the middle of the night because their hematocrit got so thick, their blood turned into basically oil and just stopped. So it could kill you. It could really kill you, and it's very available, man.
That was where they had to wake them up in the middle of the night and get them to get on the bike or run around to keep the blood moving.
Yeah, they either felt it or they did that so they wouldn't, because they needed to keep moving.
That's scary.
Pretty crazy stuff, man. But it's but definitely a week of drugs and sports,
I reckon. But I was going to say, like you said, if someone offered you an endless tank and you were going towards a fight, you couldn't ask for much more better than that. Because if you've got an endless tank against someone who doesn't, all you got to do is wear them down. You
could circle for the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Circle, and keep distance, and circle, and throw a couple kicks, and then circle. I hate to say it, by the 11th minute, that guy is going to be more tired than you, and you can have your way with him if you have some skill. So what a promise. Fatigue is the one thing. It's you get tired in the first 5 seconds. That. You get tired, and it's pretty amazing. I don't know what really you tell behind the closed doors, not in front of the camera, a bunch of athletes hanging out, and the guy says, "Hey, man, this really works. Try it in your training." All right, it does.
And then from the other side, as a spectator, the question is, do you want to see players or whatever sport it is tiring halfway through and moving at half the speed, or do you want to see them going at it full on for the entire time? And that is truly the difference, I think, that you see. Even if you watch a lot of modern sports, they'll say it's down to how we train and how we do a whole bunch of other things. But have a look at the difference over years, back in time. And I know there is an element of sports science in it, but I think there's a whole bunch of, a little bit more than just the science of the exercise and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a mixture of both. I think there might be better nutrition, better ways to train, all possible. But also too the science. The drugs and the new drugs, and they're out there, and it just seems just to make sense. Why wouldn't someone whose performance is everything want to take a minor risk? In most of these cases, these are minor risks. Often a man taking an anabolic hormone is just like a woman taking a birth control pill. It really is. It's just a hormone.
Yeah.
But if it's so, it's going to have to change things. The athletes have to change differently. They're going to have to fire their strength coaches. But do I think John Jones got very bad advice? Yes. I think someone in his circle, and probably not at his gym, maybe at a strength gym, just gave him a protocol that should work, thought he'd beat the system. And maybe USADA came and didn't expect him.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, fuck. But when it's that, hey, man, if you're going to give me $3 million or whatever, and all I have to do is not do something, I'm down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As long as I know the other guy is under the same situation, because that's the one thing I will give it credit for. It's as level a playing field as you could have. Your competitor is under the same scrutiny you are, and I think, hey, all sports should be done. So at least it makes it harder for them to do it, or don't care at all and just let people do whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I personally don't like people knowing what's inside my body, if you know what I mean, and having to give up. Maybe because it's America, privacy is kind of a big thing here. Hey, I don't want anyone to know anything about me. So
it's so hard when you bring in kind of there's that in a privacy way, but then there's so many different angles to it. It's a difficult subject.
Well, but think about the EPO thing and why this could be dangerous. Your opponent, You've worn him out for 2 rounds. You've circled him. He's given you everything. Now he's completely exhausted, and then you give him a concussion or kill him, and crack his skull open because you're fresh and he's not.
Yeah,
that's where it's dangerous. That's a time where it could be dangerous. I don't know about all the anabolics being so much dangerous. It'll make the guy stronger, but having that super wind, boy.
So let me ask you a question. Say your son came to you and said he was taking performance enhancers, what would you be comfortable with and what wouldn't you be comfortable with?
Under the age of 30 or 25, pretty much nothing. Yeah. You know what I mean? I really don't think. I think your body has your optimum. A man's body is optimum. The hormones for athletic performance in those years. Cannabis is okay. If he wants to drink, that's because those are performance enhancers, in my opinion. Cannabis, a little alcohol, if that's what, I mean, he has even said to study, that he's taken some Adderall a couple times. It's very common. And I said, as long as you see it in perspective, this is a performance enhancing drug and you have to understand it for what it is.
Right.
Okay. I said, personally, I don't like things that speed me up, but you have to see it for what it is and utilize it. And, whatever, he did it once or twice. He told me about it. And I'm like, okay, well.
And that's another thing is being able to speak from experience, I think, is a big thing, because I think a lot of people throw around opinions about things that they don't even know about. So, I think that's a tough part as well, because there's a lot of new stuff that you or I might not have tried or not know about.
Oh yeah, and that's that. I think there's been a drug out there called modafinil, which has been popular and that's supposed to be one of those smart thinking speed drugs. It's available in certain countries. That kind of stuff. I don't. Coffee's enough for my brain. I'm not into being so wound up. You know what I mean? That's I can't relax. So no, I would actually say any man in his 20s does not need any performance-enhancing drugs. Unless you're doing something competitive at an elite level, maybe you do. But I would say health reasons too. Your body's still developing, and your hormones are optimal, man. They really are. I know the 20s wasn't so long ago for you, but you realize in 15 more years, your body was optimal. You could do whatever to it. It would respond. It would get stronger, endurance-wise and just general strength-wise. So,
I'm right at the point now where I'm starting to realize that that's not the point. So I don't need another 15 years. It's the brain 30, is still 20, but the body's not.
You hit 35 already. So once you pass 35, that's a big marker. And then but I would say my 40s were very good athletically for me.
Yeah, you told me that.
I really, maybe because my son got older and I had more time, I got smarter about how I was training, but I had a really good surge. I had right before I turned 40, I blew out my knee, and it was very discouraging for me. And I kind of put about 2 years into kind of getting myself back even better. And so the 30s aren't as good as the 20s, but I like to say athletically. I mean, you can't run around with 25-year-old jackrabbits. They're going to have better, VO2 capacity and all that. But I think you still can really, really do some great stuff. And I mean, talking about all the performance enhancers, we're both big into being natural. I think that's something that we probably don't talk about, and maybe if people just tune in, they might think that I don't know, they might think otherwise. But I mean, I'm big on natural eating good, definitely sleeping good, and getting all of that right. I think that's worth a lot in itself. Oh yeah, and we've talked about this. I don't drink. I don't eat animals. I eat a certain way, and it helps my performance physically and cognitively. So we're not advocates. We're talking about some realities.
Yeah,
we're just that's all we're doing is talking about realities. No, if really any young person in their 20s said, "Hey, I really want to do this," that would be my advice to them. Your body's in the best shape it's ever going to be. Your testosterone's higher than it ever will be naturally in your life. I could not see the need. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's really what I would say. If that's not going to stop people, but that's what I would probably tell them. If you're over that and you're in your 30s, I think it's very reasonable. I really do. I think then it's kind of reasonable because it's like, okay, you might not be as optimal. That might be, and you still want to be competitive because you only have, say, from 30 to 35 to be competitive. But if you're just going to be a guy who just wants to work out, no, you don't need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just don't. It'll probably
know. I'm gonna disagree with you. I'm gonna still say, I think, just do it natural. Just be a warrior and do it natural.
Oh, that's the healthiest way. Because what I was going to wrap that up with is, but if you do it, there'll be consequences because you're going to destabilize your natural hormone balance. And you know what I mean? What if you shut down your testosterone forever?
Yeah.
Then you have to take testosterone the rest of your life, not at 60 or something, but at 25, 35. And that trust me, that happens more than you guys can imagine.
And we will see the health outcomes from a lot of these athletes in, 10, 15 years?
Yeah, I think a lot of the more performance athletes, not the bodybuilding athletes, use such low doses that they really are using relatively low doses compared to bodybuilders. Right. I mean, 1% of what a bodybuilder uses is what they use.
So bodybuilders is where you're going to see.
Look, a lot of bodybuilders and wrestlers die of heart attacks in their 40s.
That's right. Remember I sent you. I'm not going to name him, but remember I sent you a photo of a famous bodybuilder last year, and we were talking about that, and I said, he looked in pain just walking across the road.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. It's just not a lot of longevity in that. There are for a few freaks, but yeah, the long term, and also too, you put an extra 250 pounds, on a frame that's 5'6". Those heart and lungs really have to work. All those organs have to work to support all that stuff. There's nothing healthy about it.
Yeah.
But I really do think most of the doses that athletes take for performance are so much smaller, and will have, because they're young and still have I don't think they're going to have any negative effects. They really won't. I think most of them aren't using annually. They'll use for 3 months and get prepared for a fight and get off for the fight, and then recover for 6 months. That's really what I think how it's used, and used in like what female bodybuilders would use as doses. So doses that are like a bodybuilder will do like 6 to 8 IUs of growth hormone a day, whereas someone doing a performance may do 1 or 2 every day or every other day.
Right.
It just so they're not shaking things up so much, but yeah, that's all I got today, man.
Yeah, same here. What do you? So you said it's warming up. You gonna try and get in the water this week?
I went in yesterday and today. Just a surf in the morning and a bike ride and for lunch break. But I'm going to stick to that all week. Try to get see how many hours of cardio I can get under my belt this week. It's a lot easier when the sun is out, man. I just got to say that. And I know everyone thinks California is sunny all the time, but when you live at the beach, it's often overcast. And we've had one of those years where it stayed overcast through July, which it's finally over, but it gets old. It gets old because I just don't want to go play in the water when it's gloomy.
Yeah.
I just because I can go back another day. There's a big
difference. I totally agree, and I know I'm on the other side of the world, but being on the coast, I know exactly what you mean. But we'll hopefully get some sun and hopefully get a bit of a sustained period of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel good, and it does feel like we had a delayed summer here. So I'm trying to get in as much as I can, and I got to get in to swim this week and get back up to where I was swimming at the end of last season, kind of, which was last November. And but feeling good though, good, and pushing it in a healthy way. So that's my dope life.
All right, cool. And just a shout out, I know Ryan Spills and his wife have taken their little baby boy home, so just a shout out to you guys. That's awesome to see he's doing well, and yeah, that's going to be a big change to your lives, as we said the other week. And
yeah, for sure, congratulations. I've told you on Twitter, but yeah, life is over. It's not over. Life has changed, and it'll change forever.
Yeah. Actually, as I said to a friend of mine who's he's just about to become a father as well, and I said, he's starting to get those jitters when you get close, and I just said I almost can't imagine my life before my daughter was born. That's kind of like a beginning of a whole nother life. So it's tough for sure. There's heaps of tough stuff, but there's definitely the best stuff as well. I think it's the best and the toughest.
Absolutely, it is. But yeah, you had your life before you had kids, and then after. It's two different chapters in your life. Because in my 20s, I could travel at a dime. I could do whatever I wanted. I had kind of jobs that would be flexible with me, and I could kind of go to concerts and do a lot of stuff, at will. If I want to go to a CD shop and look at used CDs, this dates me, right? I could spend 4 hours. It wouldn't matter.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's just like now everything really, and even though my son's not at home, I'm still on that schedule. Like I don't give myself for anything, even if it's working out. I don't think I ever need more than an hour.
Right.
Okay.
So you didn't ever go back to that kind of having that time where you just...
you know what? I'm not totally relaxed. It's kind of funny. I'm not. I still am like, it, and I'm just that way. I think it's made me very efficient as far as time goes. Yeah. I don't let whatever's fun for me cut into my work time.
That actually, man, it sucks that we brought it up now, because I could talk to you for ages about that, because that's a real kind of battle, and I kind of slide between both at different times, and I think I see advantages and disadvantages to both as well. But I definitely know exactly what you mean.
All right, dude. Well, let's wrap this up, okay?
All right. So, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Peace.
Have a healthy family if you learn to age correctly. Follow Adam and Water Styley. From Australia to the beach, we don't want the peace to breach. It's healthy aging that we preach. Levels of training you never reach. Don't be hating, we're here to teach. Never failing, we reach a peak. I listen to every detail, cause this is the knowledge that I seek. I'm dope living, that's where you'll find me. Just training, D-O-P, live I-N-G. I'm dope living, that's where you'll find me. Just training, D-O-P, live I-N-G.